Haha! Nie! Nie! Jej! Hole and fill is harder than you think. Size does matter, dude. Let's show us your talents. So you got loads of vegetables to collect as much.
Congratulations and celebrations.
Many of the world's most famous paintings are hundreds of years old. But even after all this time, modern technology is helping us discover previously unknown mysteries hidden in masterpieces. What secret does Mona Lisa have to tell us, and what inspired Salvador Dali when he created one of his most famous paintings? Let's find out these and other art secrets together. The Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci is one of the most famous and enigmatic portraits in the world's art history, apparently for a reason. During its restoration, thanks to high-tech scans, experts spotted hidden letters in her eyes. These letters might point at a different identity for the model. But let's start from the beginning. Even though it doesn't prove that the Da Vinci Code is real, there's likely some kind of code hidden both in the eyes of Mona Lisa and in the background of her portrait. Members of Italy's National Committee for Cultural Heritage found out that when you look at the painting under a microscope, the letters L and V are visible in one of Mona Lisa's eyes. There are also other letters in there as well, but they aren't as decipherable as these two. As for the background, once you look really well, you can notice the number 72 on the arch over here. Or perhaps that's the letter L and the number 2. This is still a bit unclear. After all, the painting is more than 500 years old. Scientists are unsure of what all these symbols might mean. LV could potentially stand for Leonardo da Vinci. But then, what about 72? Well, we might never find out. Look at this picture. It's called The Ambassadors, and it was painted by Hans Holbein the Younger. At first glance, there isn't anything special about this picture, just two men of the Tudor court surrounded by musical instruments, globes, and the most high-tech gadgets of that time. They look quite different with their life. But here's the trick. You should keep in mind that the European Renaissance is famous for its love of symbolism. Do you see what I'm getting at? Yep. Even though the picture might seem to be a straightforward celebration of wealth and education, the true story behind it is much more sinister. Pay attention to this gray disc in the foreground. It looks like something shapeless and distorted. But when you glance at it from the bottom left corner like this elongated object turns into a human skull. We can probably compare it to a VR experience for viewers of those times. This skull played the role of memento mori, a reminder to everyone who saw it that even the wealthiest and the most educated were bound to pass away one day. So you must live your life to the fullest while you can. You've probably seen this surrealistic painting before. Some love it, others feel creeped out by the weird melting shapes, but it leaves no one indifferent. It's The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali, created in 1931. And the most well-known elements in this painting, the melting clocks, were apparently inspired by the texture of melting camembert cheese. The whole landscape in this picture is weirdly flaccid, especially if we compare it with Salvador Dali's own vertical mustache. The rumor has it that the idea of this painting drooped its way into Dali's mind when he was looking at a plate of soft camembert cheese melting in the sun. But the cheesy timepiece aside, what does the painting even mean? This dream-inspired landscape makes you question how much of what you see is a dream and how much is reality. As you might know, surrealists like to play tricks on their viewers' minds. This technique of painting is known as trompe-l'oeil. As for Dali, he worked in a method he created which is called the Panoramaic critical method. Well, yeah, I can definitely see some craziness here. The artist induced this feeling by starting with a single object and then responding to it through some kind of irrational subconscious associations. Now, look at this famous painting by Peter Bruegel. The official title of this masterpiece is Netherlandish Proverbs. Kinda weird for the painting that seems to be an extremely detailed portrait of a busy Dutch street. But, true to the name, there's so much more than that in this picture. Lots of different proverbs are hidden here. Let's try to find them all. We'll go clockwise, starting from the left. Do you see this globe? It's turned upside down and stands for the proverb, "The whole world is upside down." Now let's move on to this man who's running as fast as he can, probably trying to put out the fire raging on his behind. That's the saying, run like your backside is on fire.
coloring pixels 8 by 8. Install and go.
Over here, a man is warming himself at a house fire. This symbolizes not caring who's hurt as long as it benefits you. It's like roasting marshmallows at a house fire. Now these three figures in the back standing in the line, they represent the proverb, "The blind leads the blind." This kind of situation happens when someone who knows nothing gets advice or help from a person who also knows nothing about the issue. Here you can see a fish eating another fish. The saying, "there's always a bigger fish," is concealed here. This man holding a globe has actually got the world in the palm of his hand. The man in armor with a knife in his mouth behaves weirdly because he symbolizes the proverb armed to his teeth. And this man is hitting his head against the wall. Quite a useless occupation, I'd say. Have you spotted any other proverbs in this picture? Share your finds in the comments. The next picture and another secret. A recent discovery has revealed the mystery behind this crowd of people. They seem to be looking at something. But what? There's nothing here on this empty beach. But how about this? When the painting Scheveningen Sands was created in the 1600s, it depicted a group of beachgoers gathered around a beached whale. But somewhere along the way, the animal was painted over. This left the group standing around for no apparent reason. Experts restored the painting at the Fitzwilliam Museum and discovered something that looked like a person floating in the air. But in reality, it was the fin of a beached whale. Why was it painted over? According to the restorer who worked on the painting, the depiction of unalive animals in pictures was considered offensive in the 18th to early 19th centuries. That's when the whale was probably hidden. Michelangelo's David is one of the most well-known statues in the world. There are 30 life-size replicas of David all over the globe, but if you think you know this masterpiece well enough, get ready for a surprise. Depending on the angle at which you view David, you can see two totally different stories. You see, it's possible that Michelangelo never thought that people would be able to see the statue's face head-on. So when you look at it from below, as most people do, David seems to have a calm expression on his face. But when you look at him face to face, his expression morphs into that of fear, or perhaps even anger. One paper even claims that Michelangelo left other clues to David's anguished state. The veins in his arms are popping out and his brow is furrowed. Michelangelo drew inspiration for this masterpiece from the story of David, the tale of a young shepherd boy who protected people by getting rid of a giant named Goliath, by wielding only a sling and a handful of stones. But even though this classic stars a feeble boy, the great artist David is considered to be a pinnacle of male perfection. The statue weighs nearly 12,500 pounds and is a staggering 17 feet high. That's as tall as a two-story building or a grown-up giraffe. The size of the statue is not the result of artistic ego, but of simple logistics. Originally, the statue was to be placed in a ceiling niche of the Florence Cathedral, so it had to be large enough to be seen from below.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.
Lupit ng init, mag-Sprite.
Ding ding dong, fun fun.
Guesses. It's perfectly clear that the cabin crew should follow high hygiene standards. Regular showering, a deodorant, and breath spray never hurt anybody. One thing that flight attendants might be upset about is that they aren't allowed to wear heavy perfumes to work, even if it's their favorite signature scent. You've definitely seen them walk down the aisle offering you chicken or fish, but have you ever spotted a flight attendant eating a sandwich or drinking some soda? No? Well, that's because they aren't allowed to be eating or drinking in front of passengers. They can only do it in the galley or in special areas where you won't see them. Even when there is a loud group of teenagers sitting next to a crying baby and a barking toy terrier right next to them, cabin crew members can't pop in some earplugs or put on headphones with some ambient tunes. Your safety is #1 priority, so they must be able to hear any signals, including emergency ones and lavatory and passenger call bells. There are height restrictions that differ from airline to airline and aren't to discriminate candidates, but to ensure passenger safety. When a person can't reach the overhead compartment, they won't be able to stow bags or get the medical kit out. For a person that's too tall, performing regular and emergency plane duties will be a problem as well. Some companies just measure the height, and others add arm reach in there. Most airlines have restrictions regarding the amount and types of jewelry flight attendants can wear. Tongue and nose piercings are obviously a no-go. Some airlines also limit the number of rings they can wear to 2. Long dangly earrings and large hoops are mostly not allowed for safety concerns. They can catch onto something, and that would be a problem during evacuation. Some airlines limit the amount of earrings to 1 pair, even if they are small and subtle. Flight attendants aren't like restaurant or hotel staff and can't accept tips. The best way you can show appreciation as a passenger is by being friendly and polite. Oh, by the way, cabin crew members aren't supposed to carry or exchange cash at all when they are on duty. Even if the flight is perfectly uneventful and their colleagues are alert, crew members aren't allowed to sleep when on a plane. The only exception is long-haul flights, when they have special sleeping areas and work in shifts. Female crew members can't go barefaced. They are expected to wear some makeup, nothing too crazy of course, no pink eyeshadow or black lipstick, but something light to complement their natural beauty. It differs from airline to airline, but some lip color is a must in most cases. Flight attendants must renew their makeup on long-haul flights, but not in front of passengers. Nails have to be neat and clean, ideally short and clear or red, definitely not extreme or neon. If their hair is below the shoulders, flight attendants have to wear it in a bun or ponytail. Top knots, crazy volume, dreadlocks, mohawks, cornrows, and even massive waves or curls aren't welcome. Hair must be neat and tidy at all times, and of natural color. Pink and purple don't count as natural colors, in case you were wondering. And one more thing, roots in a different color mustn't show. Grooming requirements for male crew members restrict beard and mustache length. No crazy fancy styles, and only close trimming is allowed. Some airlines are even stricter and let the crew have beards only if they help hide facial imperfections. And of course, nostrils, ears, and underarms must be free from hair that can be seen by passengers. You never see them out of uniform unless they want to break company rules. Cabin crew members aren't allowed to interact with passengers wearing anything else than their uniform, so they mostly change into it before they arrive at the airport and don't take it off until they get home or to the hotel after the flight. When they're wearing a uniform, a flight attendant is representing the airline, even when they are on the ground and not on board. So they can indulge into their bad habits, hang out in bars, or chew gum whenever their uniform is on. Here's another rule for the sake of airline reputation. A crew member can't slouch, and at some companies even put their hands in the pockets or cross their arms with their uniform on. Some airlines even have catwalks at their training centers to practice the supermodel walk. Their smile must be impeccable. You won't see a flight attendant with visible teeth defects or missing tooth. Clear teeth braces are fine, and visible metallic dental fillings aren't. They aren't allowed to use all the items in the first aid kit. Yes, they are trained to provide first aid and mostly CPR certified, but they must wait for a professional doctor to use some of the medical tools and items in the kit. Even if screaming is in their mentality, cabin crew members are supposed to turn the volume down. First of all, it can disturb passengers trying to get some rest. Second, in a confined space, sound travels way easier, and passengers really don't have to know about the crew's personal life or work issues. The way they speak also matters. Bad accent, substandard language, or slang words aren't welcome. And of course, good manners are important. They can't take advantage of their position. No free flights for friends or family members, and they can't sneak in packages with forbidden items for friends or family members aboard either. Cabin crew members go through the same, if not stricter, security checks as passengers do before getting on the plane. There are also luggage item restrictions. Normally it's one suitcase and one tote bag that must be black. And when on board, they can't offer you to buy their handmade eye mask or subscribe to their travel blog. No soliciting allowed. Cabin crew members can't enter the cockpit whenever they want, because why would they distract the pilots for no reason and risk everyone's safety? If they do want to come in for a good reason, they usually have to phone the pilots first to open that cockpit coded door, and have someone hold the curtain so that nobody else sneaks in. And no, they can't tell the pilots to fly faster for you to catch your connecting flight. Even if you desperately need a place to practice yoga or hide from an overly talky lady sitting next to you, flight attendants can't let you hang out in the galley. This place is reserved for the crew. They cook meals here and keep things they need during the flight. The only excuse for you to be here as a passenger is waiting in line to the bathroom. They won't help you out even if you aren't feeling well after a long flight, because they don't leave the plane until all passengers do. If you need assistance, they can call someone from the airport staff to escort you off the plane. If there is no external assistance available and a passenger really can't leave the plane themselves, they'll have to be patient and wait for all other passengers to exit. Only then, flight attendants can step outside the plane.
The more superior formulation for faster height growth with a great taste and no added sucrose. New Wyeth Ascenda Kid.
From secret tunnels to item vortexes, here are 407 Minecraft facts you didn't know existed. What's the smallest mob? I used to think it was the baby chicken or even the pufferfish, which is only 0.35 blocks big, but they're both not even close. The second smallest mob is the baby turtle at 0.12 blocks, and the first smallest mob is the tadpole at 0.08 blocks. When items get stuck in the ground, they float to the top. Using this mechanic, we can actually create an item too. Just point a dispenser up and place a pillar of glass blocks. Any dispensed item will travel up the glass like a working tube. Dispensers can be used to dispense armor directly onto yourself, but something lesser known is that this works with horses as well. Just point dispensers at a horse and you can equip saddles and horse armor. Talk about a quick wardrobe change. Some skeletons can naturally pick up swords in the Bedrock edition and they swing it super fast. You stole my sword! Okay, you can just keep it. You can create a working mirror. Sort of. Just place pigs on some stained glass, and then on the other side, you can place the pigs on top of barriers, then name them Dinnerbone. This will create an illusion of a mirror. You may know that sponges dry out in the nether, but it actually happens in another biome. In Bedrock Edition, wet sponges placed in a dry biome, like a desert, will dry out after a few minutes. Just another reason you should never use furnaces to dry them. Crossbows take forever to reload, but if you constantly give yourself a fully loaded crossbow, you can rapidly fire them like a machine gun. Get back, monsters! Particles are beautiful, but you can make them way prettier. You can spawn all kinds of particles like lava droplets, crying obsidian, or even block markers. My favorite is summoning a lot of cherry leaves because they'll form a pretty looking cave. How do you make a sand wave? You can do this by creating a large area of bubbled columns and then stacking up sand blocks in a similar diagonal pattern, just like on top of signs. Once you break the bottom block, all the sand will fall in a bouncing wave. It's like a sand hot tub. Before version 1.15, you could use the Silk Touch book to mine things, and it'll actually work, saving you tool durability. This could also be done with a fire aspect book to light mobs on fire. If you set a ton of skulk sensors and iron trapdoors on top, you can create a beautiful wave. Throwing a single snowball down will create a ring of trapdoors, opening and closing. When the trapdoors close, they create sound, reactivating the starting skulk sensors and creating an infinite loop. We end up getting these crazy patterns. Villagers can actually wear armor if you use a dispenser. Doing so will let you put thorns on a villager or even a pumpkin. However, if the villager turns into a zombie, it disappears in Java Edition. No, my pumpkin! What would touching a creeper feel like? Well, Notch, the original creator, said that a creeper in real life would feel crunchy, like dry leaves. Ew. This is a quintuple pig spawner. It's one of the rarest glitches to occur. The glitch happens on this seed on version 1.16. The easiest way to make a wave machine is just by using a few powered rails and mine carts. It's already pretty satisfying, but you can level it up by extending it many layers. You'll get a much better wave. If you activated a nether reactor core in Minecraft Pocket Edition, the blocks around it would turn to glowing obsidian. What's pretty cool is that you could actually mine it in this state, and you could keep the glowing obsidian. I wish this still existed. What would a shulker look like without its shell? Just throw a potion of invisibility to see. Oh, okay, I see why you hide your face now. Don't break this block. Well, unless you want to be extremely satisfied. These amethyst blocks will instantly regenerate, and with an efficiency 10 pickaxe, you can break them very quickly. Steve's hands used to be extremely useful. Before shears were introduced, you could obtain wool by just punching sheep. It's like his hands had scissors on them. TNT could also be lit by punching punching it, and the explosion can be cancelled by punching it again. Minecraft used to use item IDs, so if you wanted to give yourself a certain item with commands, you'd have to memorize the numbers of all the items, which were a pain. However, there was one upside during this time. You could actually get some illegal items like the lit lamp, glowing furnace, water block, or even just lava. Save your rotten flesh. Rotten flesh is almost completely useless because it gives you poison when you eat it up, but if you feed it to your dogs, they'll be perfectly fine and heal up. What's the best way to fish? It actually depends. If you're looking to get primarily fish, you should fish in shallow areas because you get less treasure and more fish. However, if you want more treasure, you should fish in deeper water so your bobber is surrounded by at least a 5x5x4 area of water. Some blocks, like bamboo, will completely collapse if you punch the bottom block. So if you make a really tall one and break the stem, the entire tower will collapse. This can be done with other blocks too, like cacti, sugar cane, and my personal favorite, dripstone. Ah, so satisfying. There's a way to have looting bows in survival. It's impossible to put looting on your bow normally, but if you hold a looting sword in your main hand and bow in offhand, the looting effect will apply. What's crazier is that the looting glitch also works with snowballs, so you can get extra blaze rods in the nether. In Minecraft in-depth, before crafting tables were added, how did players craft? Well, you could actually just press the B key to bring up the crafting grid. That's cheating! This giant pillar of dripstone can break in seconds. If I activate this observer, all the dripstone will gradually break all the way up into the sky. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. You probably know that to make snow golems and iron golems, you need a carved pumpkin, but another secret block actually works. You may think it's the normal pumpkin, but that surprisingly doesn't work. The other block that works is the jack-o'-lantern. You may know that dispensers can place pumpkins to spawn golems or even skulls to spawn withers, but they could place another secret block. Up to version 1.8.5, dispensers could place command blocks. When you finish a raid, you'll get the hero of the village effect for killing all the pillagers. But Minecraft lets you do something cursed. You can slash effect the pillagers around you to have the hero of the village effect. There's a way to equip 127 diamond helmets. If you try to give yourself more than 64 of one item, it'll spread out in your inventory. However, you can actually summon an armor stand holding over 64 items with this command, and you can take the items from it. If you try to put on all the diamond helmets, it won't work, but you have to instead right-click the armor in your hotbar. This also works with other equipment like the chest plate and leggings. I'm undefeatable! This is the most inefficient staircase ever. It takes 18 blocks to go up just one block, and although it's not very practical, I think it looks pretty cool. Minecarts float on bubble beams, and you can create some pretty cool contraptions with this feature. If you send a minecart going at fast enough speeds, it'll bounce across the water and then back onto rails. Beacon pyramids can be made out of any mineral blocks, whether it be gold, iron, diamonds, but the combinations can also be mixed. So the pyramid is made up of different ores. This way, you can fake a netherite beacon by just coating the outer layer. The chiseled stone brick is actually not centered. You can see the visual difference by placing a torch on top. I can't unsee this. This is a shield spear. It was created by McMackenstein and protects you by surrounding you with shields. When mobs come and try to attack you, the swords are spiked outwards, not letting any of them get you. This crossbow makes it rain TNT. The arrows will rain bombs like a beautiful rainbow, and it looks gorgeous. I like to destroy massive amounts of dripstone using it, or even use it to kill a ton of cats. If a silverfish has poison, it'll cause another nearby silverfish to break out. So if you create a huge area of infested blocks and throw poison at a few silverfish on top, instantly the bugs will all crawl out and the huge cube of silverfish blocks disappears in seconds. If a charged creeper is given invisibility, the blue aura can still be seen. So if you stack a bunch of them on top of each other, you'll get this beautiful beam of light. When you kill a strider, it for some reason drops string. But there's actually a really good reason for this. They drop string to explain how piglings crafted their crossbows. When creating a new world, sand sometimes generates floating in the air. But if you break a single one, all the connected sand blocks will update and come crashing down. It's especially satisfying when the sand is connected.
Makita na! Hindi ko pa nakita eh.
Pinalaglag! Jelly! Ano mo pong iba?
Makita lang ha. Tingnan mo na. Hindi ko pa nakikita eh. Doon ka na. Kim! Si Kim yan! Si Kim yan! Tignan mo oh!
Ayun,
Kim, ba't ba saan ba yung bahay nila?
Abi ko pala yan.
Ano ba? Nakita? Di ko pa nakikita ko. Okay lang yan pag nalulod. Ganto mo na lang ko. Ganto mo na lang.
Thank you.
Sige. Kita. Ba't ganyan? Ba't ganyan yung mukha? Liban! Di pa nakita mama ko. Tingnan mo ba? Lumipat na sila yang. Hindi na tayo lumipat yan.
Ha? Naubos na. Wala na.
Balik tayo doon, ma. Wala balik tayo. Ha? Wala na silang tayak-tayak eh. Kita mo ba sila yang?
Dumami yung 7K sa inyo. Kahit pa paano.
Wala na.
Ay, sumunod burger na, delikado kayo. Nag-lead dyan ng 30.
Ba't sila Raya? Nalipat.
Gusto ba kayo ulit? Ha?